Good morning, class. So today we would be dealing with the last topic in this chapter. It's called material handling. So all throughout we learned what is material management, and since we have to purchase them from the supplier, we learned about purchase management. We learned how to stock it up using inventory management. What are the techniques which you can use? We learned it under inventory control. And the the normal functionality of a store department. And finally, the last concept deals with giving or facilitating enough resources so that material can reach the point of production. See, everything cannot be kept in the storeroom. You need to take it from the storeroom and give it to the different stages of production, right? Feed it into different machines. For that, you need to either employ people who would go to the stores department, take the material and go to the point of production, or you can employ like the machines which you see on the screen, so that the actual number of materials, the right quantity reaches at the right time in the right place. Okay, so in order to initiate the production, even though it might be the first stage of production, it is very crucial to have either human labor or machines like this, which can get the raw material from the storeroom to the unit of production. Okay, so this is very crucial to this what do I say, an organization. Okay, so material handling, if you don't get the material in the right time, in the right place, in the right quantity, then it is very difficult to initiate your production. There might be a delay in your production. Okay, so this material handling is very crucial. And moreover, see, if yeah, so if this pen cost me 5 rupees to make, it includes a lot of cost. Okay. Now I am making this, you have made this product and you're selling it to me. You have made a product worth 5 rupees and you are selling it to me at say 10 rupees. So this 5 rupees of making this product includes a lot of cost. Okay, from the organization point of view, this material handling is also one of the cost. It might sound like one of the cost, but when it comes to the consumer, you don't calculate this as part of cost of production. Material handling is a cost which happens or which is incurred only by the organization, not by the customer. Is it clear to you? Okay, even if the pen cost me 5, and for this, if you say you are the business owner, I am your customer. Okay, I'm going to purchase your product. You made this pen for 5 rupees. Okay, so when you calculate that 5 rupees, you include a lot of cost, and out of one is material handling cost. Okay, you would have to incur it from your side. But me being the customer, where I don't even have to know what is the material handling system used or anything of that sort, this thing would come to me in yeah, it sells at 10 rupees, but I'm buying a pen which is worth of 5 rupees, and that does not include material handling. So material handling is where you try to place your machines, your other materials in places so that it facilitates production at a lesser cost. So this cost being very crucial to an organization, we have to adopt measures in order to avoid this cost, or not avoid, reduce the cost. You can't avoid it. Okay, so when the function of placing or positioning materials in order to facilitate their movement or storage, that's the general meaning of material handling, which means to say that you need to decide where exactly to keep your materials, where exactly to have your storeroom, so that the movement from one place to another, okay, from the storage to that particular department or to that particular point of production, is smooth. So you need to arrange your things in a same manner. Is it clear to you? Okay, now, so this can be done at the lowest possible cost. Cost is important, so we have to reduce the cost either by employing some human resource or by keeping some equipment, which is like seen in the picture. Is it clear to you? Okay, now like I mentioned, for the organization or for the industry, material handling is a very important cost incurred by them. Okay, so out of the total cost, This includes cost of production and various other costs, for example, like material handling. Material handling cost accounts for more than 40% of the cost of production. Okay, so it is important. Yes, and then the total time taken to manufacture the product. See, for the entire process of converting raw materials to finished goods through those different equipment and machines might take only 20% of the time. The rest 80% is coming under material handling. The other 80% falls to a place where the machines or the people involved should get the material from the storeroom and take it to the point of production. That accounts for 80% of the manufacturing time. Okay, the rest 20% is just for the general processing. Just for your production process, it just takes 20%, but the remaining 80% comes from material handling. So now you understand why is it very crucial. So anytime you place your machines or materials in particular places which facilitates the movement or storage, we call it as material handling. Very important. All right. Every organization should try to reduce their material handling cost for the sole reason being they are incurring the cost. The cost is not getting passed on to the customer. Okay, so if it was getting passed on to the customer in terms of profit, at least the organization could have realized the cost or compensated the cost. But since it is not getting transferred to the consumer, it is very hard. All right. Now we can view material handling because it is one concept which evolved over time. We can see it in three main areas. Okay, the point of view which you've taken for material handling. All right, unlike the previous topics which also had few points listed under scope, where we learned different areas where that, say for inventory management, different areas where inventory management is being applied. Here we by scope we mean the areas as to where we understand material handling. It's not the applicability, it is the way or the different approaches that would be an easier point. So the first one says traditional point of view. My traditional point of view is where if I have one machine here and one machine here, like if I have one machine here and one machine here, steps taken to move the material from one place to another, I call it as traditional point of view. So when I try to remove the machines, the time taken or the way in which I transfer the material from one point of the one point present in the factory to another point, if I try to formulate the best way how to do it by reducing all the cost, that is the traditional point of view of material handling. Is it clear to you? Then plant-wide concern. Here we try to see how are the materials moving in and around the plant. Okay, so the second point gives you a broader perspective than the first one. The first one just said what is the best way to move materials from one point to another point. But in plant-wide concern, we are going to consider the entire factory plant. How is each material handling thing happening within the plant? Okay, in the plant you don't move only between 2 points, you move with innumerable places, right? So when you try to view it as an entire thing which happens in and around the plant, we call it as plant-wide concern. So here the most important thing, okay, which is like the way you view how much important is material handling is when you consider a plant, you find, okay, is there any place where material handling is going wrong, whether there are any problems, and if there are any problems, you identify the problems and then you try to implement a policy or certain measures to solve this problem. So basically what happens here is since we are talking about a broader place rather than just 2 points, you try to find out what are the handling problems, material handling problems, and you try to work out on a plan or a strategy in order to solve the issue. So that is your plant-wide concern. Then systems point of view. How is material handling seen as a system? Okay, right from when you place the order, you get the order, someone unloads the thing from once the truck of materials reach the factory, right from taking it to the storage, right from taking it to the inspection and testing, and from there taking it to the storeroom, finally to the machines, okay? And when the processing happens, getting the finished goods back to the storeroom and then sending it through sale, all these procedures, when we view it as different components of material handling, we say that material handling can be treated as a system. So right from the place where everything is being unloaded, taken for inspection, stored up as stores. From there it is going to each point of production, and when the entire process is done, the finished goods is brought back to the stores department, inspected again, and then sent for sales. All this process, material handling is found there. So when you view it as a system which has different functions, different stages, we call it as another source of application for material handling. I hope these 3 points are clear. I will give you the notes for that. Now, how important is material handling? So unlike all the other topics, we have just 2 topics to deal with when it comes to material handling. First one is it is very much crucial to manufacturing operations. Very crucial. If you don't get the right quantity of material at the right time and in the right place, it is very difficult to start production. If suppose production is supposed to happen at the first stage of production is supposed to happen at 8 a.m. today morning, all right, but the material has not reached even till 8:30 a.m., then how will production start, right? So only if your material handling is very much efficient, this allows the smooth flow of manufacturing or production to happen. That is why we say effective material handling is very important to manufacturing operations. I hope it is clear that material handling analysis is a subset of plant layout. So we had learned about plant layout, wherein we look into certain factors for your material handling. Yeah. If you remember, plant layout had one principle, right? It had the first principle. What was it? Principle of minimum travel. If you go back, you will find one such principle, which means to say the travel between 2 points of production or 2 machines or 2 different areas of a location of a certain plant should be very much minimum. The distance should be minimum. This saves on the labor cost, as well as in terms of equipment, it saves on the fuel cost. Okay, so this is the direct principle of plant layout which applies in material handling. You need to check that material handling happens at the least cost and in the most efficient manner. This is done to satisfy the principle of minimum travel. See, each of those points can be connected somewhere or the other in this subject, but you need to exactly understand where exactly can you find the relation. Okay, so if we have a very good plant layout which gives you enough area or which gives you enough provisions to facilitate material handling, we can understand that such a plant layout is very good for the material handling purpose. Is it clear to you? So if you have a very good plant layout which has different places which can properly check on the material or on the distance which takes, to move the materials from one end to another, we can understand that this plant layout is facilitating efficient material handling. All right. In the same way, in the reverse manner, if the material handling, okay, is done in a more efficient manner by using up the necessary space in that plant layout, we can say that efficient market material handling would have a huge implication on the plant layout. So what would they mean to say is, if plant layout is good, provides enough provision for material handling, all is clear. If material handling is done in an efficient manner, it is justifiable to a plant layout, because every place, every small space used for material handling would be used in a better manner. with reduced cost. So this would in turn help the or justify as to why, how good a plant layout is. So in both the ways, this is going to link each other. Now let's deal with the next topic, the economic consideration. So like I mentioned, all through the subject or all through many other subjects like operations management, which is only for operations, this is another subject, and any other, even for your costing, even for your accounts also, this cost factor is one thing which scares the organization, and also you cannot avoid it. All you can do is try to get in to reduce the cost. Okay, so with respect to materials, there are two types of costs which incur. The first one is um, uh, to cost incurred for material handling. So material handling is where you try to move about with the material using machines or people. So there are two important concepts which relate to material cost, which relate to material handling. First one is cost of owning and maintaining the equipment. So time and again you have seen a lot of pictures. You've seen the equipment as well. So when you try to analyze what is the cost of owning or maintaining the equipment. In other words, what is the purchase cost of the equipment and what are the fuel expenses and all that. Okay, that is one type of cost. Second cost is how to operate the system. How to operate the system, how efficiently can it be operated, yeah, whether it is doing the task it is supposed to do, whether it is being effectively utilized and all that. So these are the two costs, the purchase cost or the maintenance repair and all that cost. Second one is how do you operate the system, whether it is doing its task perfectly. All right, now the thing about this is the cost of owning and maintaining equipment, it is entered in the final accounts. Is it clear to you? Yes, we have a proper record as to what is the purchase cost and what is the uh, cost of maintaining the equipment. All right, but this cost of operating the system is not exactly recorded. For example, today is what? Today is no. Let's start from Monday. Monday, I realized that my material, even though production one, stage one is supposed to happen at 8 o'clock a.m. sharp, my material handling went a bit wrong on Monday. That is 8:30 it has started. Okay, it got the material in stage 1 of production only by 8:30 a.m. Cost a delay of half an hour, it adds on to my cost. The system did not work well on Monday. On Tuesday when I check, sharp at 8 o'clock a.m. material handling has reached. So that day was fine. The next day, material was supposed to reach at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock a.m. but it reaches at 9 o'clock. So it costs me a lot of cost compared to Monday's version, right? So those are those internal costs which will not be tracked in your final record, final accounts, or in the final financial books of the company. So you need to understand that these two costs have a very huge impact on material handling. Based on these costs, organization sometimes has to decide whether to go for human labor for material handling or go for equipment. See, if the fuel prices are very high for the equipment, then they'll go to material handling. That is one scenario. When they feel that material handling people are demanding more wages, or say the labor cost of those people is very high, then maybe I'll have to switch on to the equipment. So it is very important not only to see the cost in the financial account, but also to see what are the inner operating cost of the system. So how can you see, how well can you see about the minimization of cost? First thing, wherever handling is not required, okay, or it is required in lesser form, not in a huge form, then you need to eliminate such thing. For example, if I'm moving from the first stage of production to the second stage, from the first stage of production to the second stage, all right, what I see here is what do I say? Yeah, for example, if I have to move just two items, just two things from the first stage of production to the second stage of production, just to move those two, say a bit smaller versions of in progress inventory. If I have just two to move, I don't need to use an elevator, or rather it is better to ask someone to carry it from here till there. You understand the point? So if the first stage of production is happening in the ground floor, second stage on top, all I need to do is move just two boxes of material. I don't need to employ a huge elevator to just carry those two boxes upwards. Rather, I can employ some person who feels it is easier to carry it. You understand? So wherever it is possible, try to eliminate your material handling. Okay, second one, yeah, even if material handling still remains, yeah, with respect to the first one, another point which I want to say, if, see, stage 1 is here, stage 2 is on the next floor. If you can keep stage 1 and stage 2 closer to each other, again material handling can be reduced. So that is one way. Now the second point, if there is any material handling, it is better to employ equipment and other technology in getting it done, because it works on a lesser cost. Organizations found out that it works on a lesser cost than human labor. So if there is any material handling which has to be taken, like if you have no choice but to have the second stage of production on the next floor, then you need to start using mechanization or any sort of technology in getting the material handling done. Third one, whatever material handling is required, it should be done in an efficient manner. Even if you are employing, say, equipment, you should try to control the fuel cost. You should switch on the equipment only when it is required. If it is like a power driven system, you need to switch on the power button only when it is required. Don't keep the machine running for no reason. You understand what I'm trying to say? So these are the different costs involved in material handling.